10 years after Brexit, the dismal verdict is in. That's the headline from a guest essay in the New York Times, written by Philip Stevens, a contributing editor for the Financial Times. 10 years ago this week, Britain voted to leave the European Union. 52% to 48%, a slim majority, but enough to change the country's trajectory entirely. The promise was bold: take back control, reclaim sovereignty, unlock a dynamic, global Britain. Boris Johnson, one of the loudest voices for leave, told voters they could see the sunlit meadows beyond. A decade later, Stevens argues, those meadows were a mirage. So what actually happened? Economically, the numbers are stark. Britain's GDP is estimated to be at least 4% lower than it would otherwise have been, and possibly as much as 8% lower. Business investment has fallen by more than 10%. Trade has shrunk. And the practical frictions are real for ordinary people: new border checks when traveling to EU countries, stricter residency rules, fewer student exchange opportunities, and even higher roaming charges on your phone. But Stevens frames Brexit as more than an economic miscalculation. He sees it as the latest chapter in a much longer story of Britain struggling to accept its place in a changed world. Going back to the 1950s, when Britain declined to join the early European project, political leaders kept reaching for a grander identity: empire, the special relationship with America, Churchill's wartime prestige. Brexit, he argues, was that same impulse dressed up for the 21st century. The political fallout has been just as significant. Brexit ushered in an era of volatility at the top. Keir Starmer, who resigned this Monday, was the sixth Prime Minister in just 10 years. In the 2 decades before Brexit, there had been only 3. The referendum also deepened internal fractures. Scotland and Northern Ireland both voted to remain, and those divisions have only grown since. Scottish independence advocates gained fresh momentum, and the delicate political arrangements protecting Northern Ireland's peace agreement have been strained. On the world stage, the hope for Anglosphere, a new alliance with Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States, never materialized. Britain's standing in Washington faded. Foreign aid and diplomatic spending were cut. Former Conservative Prime Minister John Major put it plainly in a speech last year: Brexit has left Britain poorer, weaker, and locked out of the richest free trade market in history. As for Boris Johnson himself, his moment didn't last long either. Even as he gave his triumphant Unleashing Britain's Potential speech at the Royal Naval College in 2020, the first COVID cases were already appearing in Britain. 2 years later, he resigned in disgrace over lockdown parties. 10 years on, the verdict Philip Stevens delivers is unsparing. The sovereignty Brexit promise turned out to be, as one conservative Remainer put it, the sovereignty of a man alone in the desert. That's the story. Thanks for listening.